All right, this is the weather model discussion here for Saturday, October the 22nd. How's it going, everyone? William Cole here in the Storm Studio. Again, we've got meteorologist Patricia Brown on the channel this afternoon. She's talking about our complete North Texas forecast, also national weather, travel weather, all those fun things. But I'm down here looking over some of the latest weather data as we get ready for a fairly active week next week, talking about rain, storms, some cooler weather, all of that on the way. So we'll talk about that here. Of course, this is our behind the scenes discussion, right, where we're not necessarily going to look at the pretty TV graphics, but I'm going to show you the raw data, including the weather model actual data that we've been looking at here as we've gone through the afternoon. So we'll walk you through that again, talk about this active pattern as we get into parts of next week coming up as well. But let's go and just start off with the live cam. That's a shot of downtown Dallas. And again, you're seeing a lot of blue sky out there. It's a warm, but it is a windy day out there for sure across the area. Quickly, let's also look at some temperatures out there. 85 right now, and by the way, it's right around 3:12 here in the afternoon. So 85 officially at DFW. Generally 80s around the southern plains and the Lone Star State. This is a fairly uniform air mass, meaning most of the temperatures are pretty identical. Just a quick peek here in North Texas. Similar story. Again, you see a lot of mid-80s where the air is a little bit drier, meaning less humid. Out in our western counties, temperatures bouncing a little bit more there. And then look at these wind gusts, right? So we've got a southerly, southwesterly wind here around the area, and again, sustained wind speeds are anywhere from 20 to right around 25 miles per hour. And again, we've had some wind gusts this afternoon in excess of 30 miles per hour. So definitely a windy afternoon. So just looking around the region, I want to look at the visible satellite review. This is where we're kind of switching over now to more of the raw data, right? And there's a little bit more in the way of cloud cover across the region today. In fact, you can see this cloud deck that is beginning to streak in from the west, and that has to do with weather changes that are going to be arriving, mainly as we get into late Sunday, again into Monday. So we get a little bit of this high-level cloud cover around. The puffy, kind of the white little dots that almost look like measles, those are cumulus clouds down across the parishes of Louisiana. The moisture is a little bit deeper over there, so the convection just kind of bubbling that up now as we're going through the afternoon. Let's look at the overall setup. And this is truly the meat and potatoes now, the forecast, right? This is what we're going to be anticipating as we go forward in time. We've got a storm trough currently off the southeast part of the United States that is pulling off to the east, right? So for us here in North Texas, not really a big weather player. So the only reason why it would almost be important is for the fact it's going to be moving, right? It's not a roadblock. Sometimes you can get areas of low pressure, they set up as a roadblock, and then your next storm system you're waiting for coming in from the west, well, it gets delayed, right? So this system, it is pulling off, not a weather player for us. Our next weather maker, this is it right here. And again, it's a big storm trough causing all kinds of active weather in the northern Rockies, the Intermountain West, rain, but a lot of early season snow. There's some big time snow, in fact, happening out there. And by the way, we're also watching Hurricane Rosalind, which by the way is now a Category 3, possibly going to a 4, down just off the coast of Mexico. And she's going to be making landfall very early tomorrow morning. And again, after she makes landfall, some of the remnants will actually come up into North Texas for Monday. I'll show you that coming up as well. But again, right now, in between both of those weather makers, we're essentially here in North Texas, again, fairly quiet, fairly warm, again, windy with that next storm system approaching from the west. So let me clear this off, and let's in fact, go ahead and take a look at Rosalind. And winds are now at 130 miles per hour. In fact, she's actually now up to Category 4 status. She is a major hurricane now, just off the tip there of Puerto Vallarta, part of Mexico. I'm going to click this. Again, like I mentioned, this is just using the National Hurricane Center page here. And let's just see what they got going on. So yeah, nothing's really changed. Still making landfall. Looks like early tomorrow morning. And again, she's going to make landfall as a major hurricane. Could be a little weakening overnight, but still appears as though Hurricane 3, maybe Hurricane 4 strength. Again, like I mentioned, very close there to the Puerto Vallarta area. And so then she'll be going up through the terrain of the west portion of Mexico. There's mountains there. It's very terrainy, high elevation mountains, right? So as she begins to interact with that terrain, she's quickly going to weaken, right? So you can see by Sunday evening, she's going to go from most likely a Cat 3 hurricane all the way to only a tropical storm in a matter of about 12 hours, and then she'll be approaching, the remnants will be approaching the Rio Grande Valley early Monday morning as most likely a depression or just kind of a remnant low. And again, some of that moisture you can see will get fed up into parts of the Lone Star State up here in North Texas, and again, that will help to enhance some of our rain probabilities as we get into Monday. But again, right now, the far western Mexican coast really going to take a pretty good hit on Rosalind as she's coming in, like I mentioned, tomorrow. Okay, so from there, let's go and just kind of take the overall national perspective here. Where's the opportunity of active weather today? The opportunity of severe weather, again, just from the Storm Prediction Center here, their convective outlook, well, there's none, right? We've got there across parts of the Intermountain West up into the Pacific Northwest, an opportunity of general thunder, right? Some general variety thunderstorms, nothing that's too concerning there. But let's go and see what we got going on here for tomorrow. This is as our next approaching storm system does begin to arrive, and the timing on this here is a little bit weird. This is mainly going to be for tomorrow night into very early Monday, and again, there will be an opportunity of some rain and storms up across parts of the Corn Belt. But notice what's happening now out in the big country. We've got a marginal risk of severe weather. We were talking about this yesterday. The storm system coming in, it's so impressive, even though the data, the weather charts we're going to be looking at don't necessarily match up for severe weather. It's that time of year where typically in October, if you get a big weather maker through, you have moisture, you have warm enough temperatures, you'll get some thunderstorms to go, typically strong to almost severe. I know that sounds very basic. That's not even necessarily supported by the data, but just climatologically speaking, right? More times than not, regardless of what you see, it comes through again with strong to possibly severe, right? So that's what we were saying yesterday, right? The true setup of active weather is going to be to our north, and we know there's going to be active weather up there, but just kind of eyeballing everything from here, just the way it was coming through. Remember, we put an asterisk on that forecast and said, even though it's not really supported here, there could be a few stronger storms around, and it looks like the Storm Prediction Center, you can see beginning to kind of pencil some of that in as well. And there's a look at your day number 3. So let's go and talk about this in more detail, right? So I'm going to switch over to the actual model data. And this is where it's going to get a little more interesting, okay? And so I've made a zoomed in view. Let's go and take a look at this. So we're going to do the same thing here, first of all, right? We're just going to look at the upper air chart. This is the 500 millibar. Truly, this is going to be the mid-level of the atmosphere chart, right? At 18,000 feet. Similar to what we were looking at a moment ago, we're looking for any dips for active weather. We're looking for ridges for quieter weather. And we're looking for areas of spin highlighted in the brighter colors that you're seeing here. So let me go and roll this into motion. Obviously what we're watching for is out to the west, right? Coming in from the Pacific Northwest, you see that big storm trough. But there's 3 additional components that make this system even more interesting, and the potential for rain, I think, even more likely. I've bumped up my rain probability for Monday now to 80%. At some point in time between now and Monday, we may be able to go ahead and lock it in at a 100% probability. It's going to rain here in North Texas. The main reason why, again, watch number 1. In fact, let me just go and highlight this. Watch these 3 things coming together, right? Number 1, we've got the storm trough up here. It's coming down. Number 2, we've got a piece of energy that's been stalled off the coast of California, another area of spin. It's going to be sucked up, kind of merged into that storm trough. So we've got 2 pieces of energy coming together. And then look at this. We've got Rosalind down there coming on the coast of Mexico. She's also going to be moving up to the north as well. All of that is going to come together right over North Texas. So again, watch those 3 things. Let me go and clear this, and then we'll roll this into motion here. And let me get the cursor back. So here we go. There's Rosalind. Here comes the storm trough. There's the other piece of energy. See how it's merged? The Rosalind moisture being merged. And then here comes the main storm system, literally right across North Texas. So you see that? See how all that happened there? The main jet stream, I'll show you the jet stream. The main jet dynamic is going to be well to our north. That's why the real deal risk of severe weather is going to be to our north. But with all of that happening here, some decently warm temperatures, and again, some moisture around for instability, again, chances are we'll have a few strong to severe storms even here as well. Now, on the heels of that, for this following Friday, here comes one more. Take a look at that, another bowling ball. And where does it travel? right through North Texas. I mean, literally, it might even hover over DFW for just a couple hours. So again, it's an active pattern as we get into next week, and on the heels of that, here we go. Here comes another storm system and another one behind that, right? So we're getting into a stacked pattern. It's typical for fall. That's nothing unusual, right? We're transitioning from the stale summer months. We're transitioning now to more of an active pattern. It's a little bit late this season, but it is happening. The other thing, let's go and quickly peek at, then we'll talk about rain and storm chances. Let's go and take a look at air mass change here, right? So we're looking for cooler temperatures to build down. This is not right at the surface. This is just off the surface, right? Again, looking for true air mass change. This is the 850 millibar chart. And so again, you can see this weekend, it's going to be warm. Yep, here comes Monday. Here comes our next frontal boundary with that weather maker coming out of the Intermountain West. Not necessarily super chilly temperatures because it's a Pacific, a pack storm system coming in. But again, you can see a little bit of Canadian air is even funneled, you can see, down into parts of the northern plains. Okay, so that system comes through. We don't recover much. Again, you can see temperatures through most of next week will trend below normal. We'll put raw numbers. I say this all the time when we're looking at this chart. We'll put actual temperature numbers with this coming up, right? So we don't forecast off of just the colors. We'll show you the actual numbers coming up. But this is kind of a visual representation of what's going on, even with the temperature numbers we'll be talking about. And again, you can see we stay in a cool pattern. Here comes that next system through as well, with kind of a reinforcing shot there of some less hot air. So temperatures on average, again, even though the actual outlook, and we talk about this all the time, even though our 10 to 14 day outlook had us below normal, the actual real deal data coming in, truly what appears to be over the next 10 days, maybe even 12 days, our temperatures begin after tomorrow to trend below normal, and in some cases well below normal. So kind of a cool stretch, not a cold stretch, but a cooler stretch there on the way. Okay, let's talk rain. And again, this is the very latest data coming in. And this is also, I forgot to mention this earlier, so this is a global model that we're looking at, right? Right now, this is not ultra high res. We're just kind of on the fringes of getting some high res data in, right? High res data we can get in at about 60 hours out. So this is a global model, and this is the European model, right? Typically with global models, what most people use is the GFS, the American model, or the European model, right? The GFS has always kind of been free on the internet. A lot of people have found it. They know what it is. Unfortunately, and I hate to say it because we love the NWS, we love what's called the INSEPS part of the National Weather Service, right? That they produce all of these computer products, right? These weather model products. The GFS, it's just out of, you take all the weather models and put them together, it's the worst performing model, right? And we hate to say that, but that's just statistical, that's the fact, right? So we don't base a lot of our forecast off the GFS. On the other hand, the European model typically is the top performing model, right? So that's why we prefer the European here. You know, nothing against the GFS, but you know, it just doesn't do too well. So to put it lightly, in most cases, sometimes it does okay. Okay, so with that being said, let's go and run us through the next few days, or the next 10 days here. So here we go. Here we get into Monday. You can see there could be some showers around Monday morning, right? Some showers around Monday morning. And that's going to be the remnants of Rosalind lifting up, right? But also notice by early Monday, you can see a few thunderstorms again out there across parts of West Texas and the Big Country. That's where that marginal risk is coming from, right? So it's not necessarily during the day tomorrow, but it's going to be late tomorrow into the overnight that, again, we could have a little convective weather developing out there, right? So we'll be watching that. It could be late evening into the overnight. So that could be a line of storms, and that line of storms, as we go through the day on Monday, take a look at that. It's going to try and approach from the west. So Monday, showers in the morning, could be a little thunder in the afternoon. We'll dig deeper into that thunder possibility momentarily. By the way, is that big area of low pressure on the back side of it is always the cooler side, right? Because the air mass, the wind at the surface circulates counterclockwise, right? So behind it, you get a northerly wind pulling in the chillier temperatures. Look out in our Texas Panhandle, could in fact be a little bit of mixed bag precipitation out there. You see some of the pink showing up even out around the Amarillo area. Okay, so quite chilly out there. And then as we get into late Monday and early Tuesday morning, could just be kind of some cooler showers that move here through the Metroplex. So showers Monday morning, a line of storms. Okay, we're going to see if it could be strong to severe here, and then just kind of some showers to end all of that on the back side of it, kind of the backwash, if you will, as that big storm pulls off. Okay, and then we go quiet through most of next week, and then here's the following Friday. And the way it looks right now, Friday looks to be pretty unsettled. An opportunity of rain and storms. Could even be some strong storms on Friday. Could even be severe as well. And then right at the end of this, here comes that next weather maker with potentially about 10 or 12 days on down the road, another opportunity of rain and storms. Before we look at instability or anything else strong related, here's just a look at rainfall projections. With this first round, it always looks weird when I get in like this. It's not because I can't see. I promise I have good vision, but the numbers, as small as they are on your screen, they're just as small here. I mean, you almost cannot read them. But basically what it's saying is anywhere from 1 to right around 1.5. That would be your rainfall projection, meaning how much rain could we see? Again, we're talking about with the system on Monday. So that would be a good rain, 1.5. That's not bad at all, right? Then here we go. That next weather maker, I tell you what, could really give us some good rain by the following Friday. Could really be some heavy rain around. It's a long ways out, but again, could be another 1 to maybe even 2 inches of rain with that. We need the rain. We would take the rain. But again, keep in mind when we're talking about Friday, I think rain and storms are likely, but I think it's probably a little too early to get too caught up in that rainfall projection. But even on Monday, should see some good rain around, really across most of North Texas, right? Okay, quickly here, let's also go and talk about the severe weather aspect of this. Let's look at our jet stream. And so there's, see the jet, it goes well to the north, right? Let me just go and advance this. And that's by late Monday. You know, I'll tell you, the only change in this, and this is really going to be for late tomorrow, you can see the jet well to the north, right? The one change that I've seen with this, and this is why there's going to be an opportunity, right? You see the hotter colors of rain and storms up there tomorrow. And again, Patrice Brown on the air is talking about that today as well. The one change I can see here, not that this is major, but by late Monday, and this is what the Euro had earlier in the week, and yesterday it did not have it at all. But it still appears as though there's just a little bitty teeny tiny jet streak, right? This is not big, this is not high velocity, but again, kind of coming around that area of low pressure, you can see some of the yellows. And in that exact position, again, this is still not locked in, but in this exact position, it would be favorable for some rain. Well, we know the rain part, obviously, but some thunderstorms and maybe some strong to an isolated severe storm or two. It doesn't appear as though it's going to be a big deal, but the data has now flip-flopped back to where it was a day ago, where it's now advertising possibly even some strong to maybe a severe storm, right? So we know this data always flips, and we say this all the time. Sometimes it sounds a little annoying, especially when you're dealing with a global model, right? Because it's forecasting for North Texas the same way it's forecasting for England or for Antarctica, right? It forecasts the entire globe. But again, we always say this, that the data will flip-flop back and forth, and in this case, it's just subtly. It's not a huge change. This is definitely not a big deal, but with that jet profile there where it's located, could be indicative of the possibility of some stronger storms. What I'm looking for now, I want to take a look at the instability, and let me just do this manually. And there we go. And so let me just roll this as well. I'll let you see what we got now for Monday. The instability, not great, but we've got a little bit now, and this is a change too, where basically yesterday we didn't have much of anything, and even this morning we got about 1,000 joules. This is what we call CAPE, or available potential energy. And again, you know, and there's some parts of the United States that if they get, you know, 500 joule, I mean, that's a big deal, right? As far as instability goes, it's a big weather day for them. Here in the Southern Plains, you know, when we're talking about spring severe weather, we could be 3,000, 4,000. I mean, we've had days much bigger than that, right? So for us, we like the big stuff down here. But again, even 1,000, you know, that can give you some, there's enough instability there that, again, yes, you can have some strong to severe. So now with this data we're looking at here, if I was going to Vegas to bet, could we have a severe storm or two now on Monday? I would say, yeah, we probably could, right? Still doesn't necessarily look like a big organized deal, but in the grand scheme of things, it still bears watching. And the only reason I just keep highlighting that is, again, it's just essentially what we were mentioning yesterday. So something to keep our eye on there for sure. Okay. Okay, so from there, let's do this. I want to come over and look at the raw numbers. And we're going to look at the European model here first, right? So we looked at, again, when we were looking at that 850 millibar chart, right, and we were seeing the different colors, and I said, I promise we don't just forecast off of that, we'll look at the real numbers. That was kind of a visual representation of what we're looking at here now, right? And so the euro, man, I tell you, as we get in the end of next week, it's definitely on the cooler side, right? So we've got an 87 for tomorrow. We know about that. In fact, I'm forecasting, I believe, 86 for tomorrow. Then Monday, mid 70s. Again, we've got the morning rain. That could limit some instability, could keep our temperatures down some. Cooler on the back side of that system, 69. All of that still looks about right. We warm back up into the mid 70s. The Friday system, that following system, the euro, I mean, it cools us down and keeps us right there in the 60s, even into the following week, right? So that's a fairly, it's not a cold blast, but that's a cool down trend for sure, right? That's cool. 60s are doable, but for this time of year, again, that's really beginning to trend below normal, right? Here's the Blenda models, and let me go and zoom that out. This is what I truly forecast off of, right? This is also an NCEP, a National Weather Service product, where they take all the model data around, they combine it, they weight it, and they plug in the high-res data, and it spits this out. And this is truly what I forecast off of with that European data in mind, right? And so it's got 85 for tomorrow, 74 for Monday. Again, Euro's at 77. I think it really depends on the rain on Monday, right? That morning rain could hold down our temperatures, could also limit any instability. 69 on Tuesday. Everything pretty much agrees on that right now. There's those lower to mid 70s coming back, but there's the change. The blend now is also trending that following Friday and Saturday back down into the upper 60s. So definitely cool to end this upcoming week as well. But it trends us back into the mid to upper, really the lower to mid 70s. And climatologically speaking, that's where we should be for this time of year. And without another major weather system coming through between that time, most likely that's where we're going to trend our temperatures, because we will get a return flow of southeasterly wind developing. So the euro's probably a little bit cool there at the end. And again, that's why I kept the temperatures closer there to the mid 70s towards the end of the 12-day. So that's what we're tracking, folks. We're watching this carefully for you. We'll try and do another one of these tomorrow. Over the weekend, sometimes it's hit and miss. It really depends on how much time I have. Obviously, we do these during the week, and truly more importantly, I mean, our channel. You can always watch our channel. That's where our true weather forecast is, but we don't normally have a chance to get this in depth on the channel. A lot of this presentation we still present it, but it's normally just with the fancy TV graphics. We don't show you the raw data. So if you like this, again, be sure to give us a like if you're watching it on social media, Facebook, Instagram, or on our YouTube. And again, leave us a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. We're always curious on social media where those people come from. If you're local, if you're not, leave us a comment. And again, like I mentioned, we'll try and do this again for you tomorrow. If not, obviously, next week we'll be back with you. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday afternoon.